that day when they told us it's kind of like we're turning night. It was in the evening. I told her I'll be back. Like, I took off. And I sped out of the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
I was driving so fast. And I was crying. I don't know what to do. It's my firstborn. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know I was driving. I was driving anyway. I was just speeding. I was running lights, everything like this.
Were you blaming yourself for it, or were you like?
I didn't. I felt helpless.
Because naturally, like us as fathers, we want to be Superman and we want to be able to do, but we don't know what to do in that moment. And I would imagine like so much stuff is going through your mind.
It was.
And I get it, bro.
I drove off like this. And I finally just parked the car and I had to calm myself down. I had to tell myself, this is not what I got to be doing. I got to go back. Face this like a man.
Yeah.
And be there for my kid.
When I get out of work, I get out at 6 in the morning. As you know, I take my kids to school.
After doing maybe like 8 to 10, 12,
8 hours. I don't do more just because I just try to stay home with the kids or take them to school.
Mm-hmm.
After that, obviously, I have to sleep a couple hours, wake up, go pick up the kids, make food, go to the gym with my husband. Now we actually got a membership with the Y, and we take all of our kids. So we all go as a family to the gym.
Y'all go as a, that's what
Yeah.
they wanted to do, or y'all
No.
just thought it was important to involve them in like?
Well,
their
we
physical?
try to involve them in the gym. But my older son, Julian, he wanted to go to the gym. He's been, we have a at-home gym, but like he wanted to do outdoor. Like he wanted to go to the Y with his friends. So we're like, oh, why don't we just get a family membership?
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then just all of us go. We could
Yeah.
do the pool, do other stuff. So we ended up doing that. And then from there, I come home, cook again, and go to work. And pretty much that's it. Like, besides that, we do other stuff like during the weekend. We try to take the kids out, have fun.
Then y'all gotta find time for each other.
Yeah.
and-
Yeah.
So that's a hell of a lot. When you factor in one of you guys' most traumatic experiences.
Yeah, we have had a couple, but the main one's been Julian, my older son, diagnosed with cancer back in 2012. He was diagnosed in 2012 in December, right
How old
around
was he?
Christmas. He was 5. Yeah,
Uh,
he was 5. And I was pregnant at the time with my third daughter, about to be due, 7 months pregnant. We didn't really know that he had the cancer. But doctors were claiming that he had a cyst in his ear. A lot of them also thought he had put something in his ear, like a bean or something. I'm like, no, it's
A bean?
a bean or like
oh,
something.
before they cooked.
Or something,
Yeah.
just, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did y'all? How did you first know that he had cancer? Because you would have to take him to you. He would have to be feeling something somewhere. Maybe y'all thought he had an ear infection. Maybe it was something. What was the first sign of it?
I didn't know. We didn't know. It looked like a tumor. It literally looked like I could see in his ear, and it looked like a tumor. Like,
So
Yeah,
was
but
he
it-
running around screaming or something?
It all
He was-
started in school.
okay, yeah, that,
He fell when he tripped one day in school.
Okay.
yeah, his teeth
That's
fell.
what-
His,
And then he came home. He was complaining that his ear was hurting.
but he broke one of his tooth. Like he hurt his tooth. Remember?
I remember
He fell. He hurt his
tripped
tooth,
on
and
the
then
line of the way to class.
yeah.
So y'all thought y'all would be just taking him to the hospital to get checked?
Oh, he was complaining
No,
that
he was
night.
complaining about ear pain.
Okay.
So we thought he had an earache.
Right.
Took him to the ER. They kept him there for an hour, 2 hours, whatever they do. They were saying that it was just an ear infection.
Okay.
So they sent him home with some ear drops.
And see a specialist.
Yeah, and then
That's all they told us. Like, you need to go to a specialist.
we put the ear drops like for a day or two. He was complaining that it was still hurting, and then he had some blood.
Yeah, like you could see blood around, like, what was the
In his
tumor?
ear canal?
Yeah.
You could see that he had like it was red and it had a little bit of blood. So we took him back to the ER. They did some tests on him and everything. They did a MRI or a CAT scan, what is that?
No, they didn't do anything yet.
When they
They,
scanned him?
they didn't do
It was
anything.
twice that we took him in and
They didn't do anything because they were just like, oh, he has an ear infection. Go
Yeah.
to a specialist. They kicked us out of the ER probably like 3 times. I went like 3 times because he was complaining about pain. They're like, no, we can't do nothing. You have to see a specialist. I took him to his regular doctor. He did like a flush, like a water flush in his ear. Because he's like, oh, did he put something in there? I'm like, no, he's 5. Like, I don't think he would put anything in there. Like, and he wouldn't be complaining, like, and it wouldn't be bleeding like that. He's like, oh, well, we're going to do like some kind of flush, like, to see if it could come out or whatever. Nothing came out. So I ended up taking him back to the ER just because, like, I couldn't, like, just sit there and be waiting for them to, like, oh, let me see a specialist. I ended up going back to the ER. They had put him on antibiotics because they're like, oh, if he has an ear infection, we're going to put him in antibiotics. I ended up taking him, and they're like, no, we're going to admit you because it seems like he has, like, a bone infection. So, like, his tumor was, like, right back here. So they're like, oh, it seems like he has a bone infection. They didn't do any, I think they did do an x-ray or CAT scan.
They did a scan.
Yeah, like, at
They
that
did a
time.
scan and they kicked us out from the ER again.
What,
Oh,
when you
yeah,
say
yeah.
kicked y'all out, what?
Because they were
told
like,
you
oh,
he
you
has
can't do
nothing, it's
nothing.
just an earache.
Yeah.
Oh,
use
I
the
thought they were
drops.
saying get the,
No,
like,
no, no.
Y'all gotta go.
No.
Type.
Well, we got turned away like 3 times.
Oh, gotcha. I
Yeah.
got
The
you.
third time was when they did the scan, and they're like, "Oh, and it doesn't show anything." They gave us a disc with the scan and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
She
Oh,
went
yeah,
back
yeah,
to
yeah.
Children's Hospital.
Okay.
She's the #1 hospital out there in LA.
I don't, it
Oh,
went
so
so
y'all was in
long.
LA at this time. Okay.
Yeah. Once we admitted him into Children's Hospital, like we never came back out.
No, I had took the
she had
CDs
the
with
disc
me. Yeah,
and then-
like they saw the disc and they're like, no, he has more than a bone infection, like, because that's what they
But
thought.
they didn't tell us. They were
Yeah.
just, "Well, you guys are gonna be admitted. You're not going home."
Yeah,
A whole week.
nothing.
They didn't say anything. They just
Because
kept
it was
coming
around
in.
Christmas. It was around Christmas, the time that happened. So, like, there was not many doctors. They came back, they did all kinds of exams. They did a biopsy on him because they admitted us. They were like, oh, no, well, we're going to do a biopsy to see what it is, to see if it is a cyst.
Well, I remember in the ER, one of the nurses, she actually told us, she's like, "I don't want to scare you guys, but I seen this on a previous case, and it turned out to be a tumor."
Uh-huh.
So when we went to Children's Hospital, like we weren't expecting that, but we kind of already had it in our minds because that nurse had told us.
Oh, that was in another hospital. It's because we had gone to many different hospitals. We didn't just go to Children's. I had gone to Children's like once before, but since they didn't help, well, they helped us, but they were like, oh, we can't do nothing about it. Go to a specialist. We went to like different hospitals just because they were not helping us. They were not giving us an exact answer like what's going on. They were just like, oh, we don't know what's wrong. You have to see a specialist. You have to go see an ENT doctor. They're like, we can't do nothing about it. You have to see an ENT doctor. Like, because, you know, in the ears, if you're not dying, they're not really helping you. If you don't have blood, have a fever. My son didn't have any of that. He just had pain.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, we're just going to give you eardrops. That's what they kept on telling us, eardrops, eardrops. So when I ended up going back to the hospital where they admitted us, that's when they're like, oh, well, we're going to admit him. We're going to do a biopsy on him. And the doctor's like, well, it doesn't seem like it's cancer, like after he did the biopsy and he did, because they could see when they're,
That was after like 2 weeks.
yeah, when we were there. And it was just like, we were just waiting. He was in excruciating pain. Like when they did that biopsy, like they put like some kind of gauze in there, like, and like he was crying like crazy every like couple of days, like probably like 3-4 days, like crying. Like, hey, I'm like, are you guys gonna give him medicine or something? And they're like, no, we can't do nothing. Like, I'm like, what do you mean? He's in pain. Like he was crying. Remember, like he was like crying,
Yeah,
like in
I'm telling you.
pain, like because you know something's trying to come out like of your ear, and he was like crying.
And the
and
doctor
crying.
came in and actually talked to us.
Yeah.
The first one. He came in and he said, well, I have some unfortunate news. Turns out it's a tumor.
But
But
that
the good news is it's not malignant.
What does that mean?
not
Like,
bad.
It's not cancerous.
Okay.
So we're like, okay, well, that's something good. I mean, not the tumor, but obviously that it's not cancerous.
Okay.
A couple days later, another doctor comes in and then,
It wasn't even a doctor. It was a nurse.
no, it was the doctor who told us.
No, it was a nurse because you weren't there. I was by myself.
You know, because then the doctor came
No, and then he explained to us that it's a
and
long
he told us
word.
that it was
Okay.
a cancerous tumor. And it was within like 2 inches from his brain. So it was not operable. The only way was chemo and radiation.
Yeah, and then it was so close to his brain that they're like, oh, we need to do more further testing. Like they did more like testing, like bone marrow.
And it was a stage 2.
Yeah, like they did like some other tests, like where they could see if the cancer has spread somewhere else because it was so close to his brain. Like we have stems, like so they're like, oh, we need to do more tests, and we're like, and then they give us like, oh, we need to give you like a percentage of like survival rate. They give us a 75% chance, which is really high for a cancer patient.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's high.
yeah.
Yeah, we went from
But it was still like a
Fifth floor to the
drastic
fourth
number.
floor, right?
Yeah, like they kept on switching us. Like
yeah,
we
we
were
were on
in
the 5th floor, and then they moved us down to the
fourth-
cancer level,
the
which
cancer
is the 4th.
patient.
Before y'all actually knew what it was, what did y'all? Cause y'all had to be feeling something. Cause they was telling y'all it was just this and it's just that. What was y'all feeling it was?
I didn't-
Not that, but
We didn't think
I didn't
was
expect it to
them.
be a tumor, but I knew it was more than just an earache.
With the way he was like crying and constantly.
I
I
didn't
mean,
think it was. I didn't think it was cancer.
If you know
like,
Cindy, she is very impatient.
Yeah.
If there's something, if you got a cut or something, she's right there nitpicking at it or something like. So when she called me into the room and she's like, "You got to look at this," like, we put the phone, the light, into his ear, and you could literally see a mass.
But I wasn't picking at it. I was like,
What does
A
a
mass,
mass?
it just-
What does it look like?
It literally looked like this. Like, this is your ear canal,
a pink thing. Like
and it looked like a finger or something was like trying to push out.
Really.
It's exactly what it looked like.
I've heard people speak of mass before, but I never knew what it.
yeah,
And
And for that to be.
kind of looks like a pimple. Like when it's about to pop.
Uh huh.
Like a pimple, pretty much. Like it's gonna
Yeah.
burst. Like about to pop. Kind of like
And I
that.
was
It looked like in
thinking-
his ear. Like
he's a small child, so how big could this mass really be? But when we actually saw the X-rays and everything, like
well, obviously it looks
it was
bigger.
a
in the X-ray,
significant
like,
mass. Like,
Yeah.
so when they did the radiation and the chemo, like they literally had to reconstruct like his inner ear
Yeah.
because it took so much of the bone out and the cartilage.
Yeah. So once y'all got the news of what it, cause I can only imagine like the frustration of not knowing what's bothering your child, and then sometimes like we've all been kids and we went through. So sometimes we think they overreacting or whatever, they're just crying and stuff. But you're not really mad at them. You're frustrated because you can't figure out what it is. But when you actually figure out, when you get the news of what it really is, how do you go from there? What is the emotion of that first?
I was surprised. Like, I was really surprised, like, about it. Like, we were not aware of anything, like, about cancer in regards to it being such a young kid. Like, we're like, oh, he's young. Like my dad. Like, my dad, he's so, like, oh, no, only old people get cancer. I'm like, no, Dad, like, he got it, Like, there's so many people out there, like, that don't know that so many people, many kids are with cancer. Like,
Yeah.
it was so many patients in that 4th floor, like, with, like, little kids, obviously, like.
I took it as a big shock because I never knew anybody with cancer, like in my family or just. I had never met anybody.
yeah,
I always
like-
see people, but I never had nobody close to me. And
We heard about it. I mean, like, I heard about it,
they told
cancer,
me that
but
like,
not about,
that's my firstborn. Like
yeah.
Okay. You're a mother, so I already know how mothers react to stuff like that most of the time. But I'm gonna ask you, your background, do you come from a pretty tough background of like, how when we were kids, men were taught not to cry, not to do this, like
I held
you
it in.
can get through it.
I held it in. She don't know, but that day when they told us it's kind of like we're turning night. It was in the evening. I told her I'll be back. Like, I took off. And I sped out of the hospital. I was driving so fast. And I was crying. I didn't know what to do. I was like, oh, it's my firstborn. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't even know I was driving. So I was driving anyway. I was just speeding. I was running lights, everything like this.
Were you blaming yourself for it, or were you like?
I didn't. I felt helpless.
Because naturally, like us as fathers, we want to be Superman and we want to be able to do, but we don't know what to do in that moment. And I would imagine like so much stuff is going through your mind.
It was.
And I get it, bro.
I drove off, like, and I finally just parked the car and I had to calm myself down. I had to tell myself, this is not what I got to be doing. I got to go back, face this like a man,
Yeah.
and be there for my kid.
Man,
And the doctor told me when they pulled us into that room,
It was a room
like a day after, they told us, you know what, like this is the conversation that we got to have.
with everybody.
Where we're going to tell you the risk and the percentage of success that we can have. Like, when he told us, he was like, oh, you guys are not showing no emotion. Like,
We didn't know what to do. We were like speechless.
and I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to cry. What's the point of crying here? And I got to be strong for my boy. And then the doctor's like, that's exactly what I want to hear. He's like, I don't want you guys to be babying him, going in there crying if you have relatives in here. Because, you know, nobody can hold their feelings back. He's like, you got to be strong. If he sees you crying, like,
he's gonna think something.
Yeah.
yeah,
He's gonna. So my thought, my way of thinking through all the situation, like it was a whole year like this. My thought, was like, oh, be positive all the time, towards him. Be like, come on, Julian, you gotta do this. Cause if I show any like feeling towards him or crying or mom, what's wrong, then he will feel sad, and then that will make it even worse. When you're going through chemo or radiation, you know, everything drops. As far as like your blood, everything. So you're pretty much in the down. So I'm like, if he sees me down, he's gonna feel more down. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, no, he can't see me like that. Like, I gotta be strong for him, and I know it hurts inside, but I couldn't show it like towards him. Like, I had to be strong for him.
Yes.
So I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Like, every time he would get like, cause they put him in line right here. Every time he would get, I'm like, come on, Julian, gotta be positive.
What?
It was a line. It was like a port, like where they will insert a needle.
so if you didn't want him to be
There's
getting
a
an
pig
IV
line,
every time,
yeah.
they
They put a port.
put a port into your chest.
Yeah.
So then it's easy access.
And that's the only scar.
But even though
pretty
every time you access that port, the needle's about this big.
much. Yeah,
like,
it was huge, and it would hurt because he was so tiny and he lost a lot of weight.
that was tough.
And yeah, like-
Seeing your child, like, he pretty much deteriorated.
One second, sorry.
Oh, you did a good job.
Good job. Wow. You are a macho with no cream, huh?
Yep, macho.
Macho.
Taco macho.
That's your grandma. How we draw the labs.
Yep.
It still hurts.
It's always gonna hurt, but you have to be strong.
Can you see it? Can you see the blood? Okay.
Sheesh, Louise, look how much blood. She took all your blood out.
Because I'm getting half better.
And you flush it. And your blood goes back in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You taste
And
it?
he could taste it.
Oh, so.
I'm here, ball fell.
Hmm?
The ball fell.
Oh, okay.
She doesn't know where it's at.
Okay, I'm gonna put this little pin here. Lift up your head for me. Sorry.
You know that's when you don't move?
Sorry.
Hi, Julian.
Hi.
Tell everybody hi. I'm super strong. Today's my last chemo.
And my wife gets super emotional when my daughter gets a shot. So I couldn't imagine how y'all are in that hospital with that big old thing inside of your son, big old needle coming, and then like you gotta, because it hurts to have to hold your
Yeah, you had to
kid.
hold
I
him
would have to
and
hold them down and like they will put it in like a lot of times the nurses when you like they will mess up like they will need to take it out and put it back in like I'm like come on Julian you gotta be strong like you gotta be strong I'm gonna be holding you come on and he'll be like Mom hold me and like I will hold them and like it would just be like I'm like no I gotta just be strong I know it hurts but I just have to be strong for him like it was
I don't know, you kind of in denial for a little bit, but
Let me tell you something. As a man, I can't speak for a woman, but like I said, I know y'all, the baby comes out of y'all, so y'all got this thing. But it's this thing with fathers that we're the protector or whatever. And when this is me as looking at my daughter just getting a shot, just like, I gotta stand there and be like, nah, you got this, be tough. But my daughter is looking at me like, dog, you gonna let them do this to me? Like, because she doesn't understand the importance of it. So for you as a father to have to sit through that, I know that has to be painful. And I commend you. I commend you.
it was, I had a tough time.
Yes.
Like one of the things that stuck with me when we moved from the 5th floor to the 4th floor, like as soon as we entered the 4th floor, I already knew this is the cancer level.
Okay.
that's what they told us.
We walked into that hallway, like there was a lady there with her daughter, like what was her name? Who has a
Oh,
YouTube?
Lily.
Yeah.
Lily Bumps. She has a YouTube channel. She's, not
She
YouTube,
was
but
the
she's a
first
big Instagram
other
influencer.
patient that we met.
Her name is Lily.
Lily Bumps.
Shout out to Lily Bumps.
Like when we walked in there, her mom, the first thing her mom, well, we shook hands and everything. She's like, "Oh, she." Afterwards, she was like, "Oh, well, we'll be seeing you around." Just her telling me that, like, that just made it settle in even more. Like,
This is actually
this is real. Like, we in the 4th floor. Like, this is the cancer level. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't even know what to say after that. Like,
How do y'all talk to him about, like, do you actually tell him
Yeah,
what's going on?
I did.
We were very honest with him throughout the whole everything. Like, we couldn't just like sugarcoat anything. Like, I feel like if I did, it was just gonna make him more fragile. Like, if I was to tell him, no, this is not gonna happen, when it was happening, he was gonna see me as his enemy. Like, hey, you're lying to me. Like, you gotta be honest with him. Like,
Well, the doctor.
Yeah, like
the doctor let us know.
you
He's
can't.
like, like I said, don't baby him. There's gonna be times where he don't want to do something. Like, you gotta be strong and
Yeah.
not make him do it, but let him know that he has to do this for his own good. And I did. I sat on him with a one-on-one, and I told him it was a life and death situation. This is not like
He
just
was only
taking some cold
5,
medicine.
but he understood like a lot of the stuff. I mean, obviously, like he's 5, and I don't know if he still remembers a whole lot. Like,
And then like the feeding,
Yeah.
you had it's called an NG tube. So you got to put a small line through his nose down his throat.
because he wasn't eating.
Because he wasn't eating, so he had
losing
to be like
lot
a
of
liquid
weight.
diet.
Mm-hmm.
And like that was tough to do.
I would do that myself. Like, I would go home and put it in.
Yeah, there's a lot of things
And-
you had to do on your own as a parent, like
He
at
would
home.
throw up like a lot because chemo, just in general, does that to you. Like, makes you throw up. He would throw up. So I was pregnant at the time, and he needed to pee every 2 hours in the drain funnel thing where they were measuring like how much I think radiation was coming out. I
Yeah.
forgot. So I couldn't really be around him because I was pregnant.
I
The
had it.
nurse, yeah, you needed to be.
I was
around.
thankful for my job at the time that they were understanding and they let me be as
Many days off,
yeah,
like
paid and everything. Like, so I was able to spend every night with them. But that was rough.
I lost weight when I was pregnant too, like just because of everything that was going on. Like
Yeah.
I was in school, I was in college, I was a senior in college, and it was just horrible. Like everything that was going on.
And
Like
we
how
still
do we
had the
make
other-
time? Like
The middle child.
then we had my middle child that was back at home with my mom. Thankful
So
for
y'all have
her.
one
Yeah,
on the
pregnant
way,
and
the
Julian.
middle
Yes.
child. Okay.
Yeah, it was tough.
like it-
like really tough.
I'm sorry.
It was tough bringing like the grandparents around and other family members because their first reaction is like, you want to cry, you want to be affectionate and everything. Like,
And we were back in California. His mom was here in Missouri. She literally, like, when she found out, she flew, like, first airline.
she was there the next day. Like,
She was crying.
We didn't
I'm
even
like,
know.
She was crying. I'm like, no, you gotta not cry. Like, he cannot see you like this because, like, you're gonna make him feel more bad. Like, don't cry in front of him. I know it's.
Or like when it was time to take medicine
Yeah.
or something, like, oh, you don't have to take it right now.
Like they were very like trying to be like very.
No, he has to take it
No,
now.
he needs
This
to
is on
take.
a time
yeah.
schedule.
I have to put him shots every day for
So
12
not only
days.
are we battling with him, but we're also battling the other family members that are thinking we're just
trying to be mean to
Yeah.
him. We're not. It was just like everything needed to be like on a certain point. Like we were still like trial and error pretty much because the doctor's like, oh, the doctors would be like, oh, we're gonna give you like shots. They would give us 12 shots after his chemo,
boy.
and I would put every shot every day. And they're like, oh,
He pretty much was the second child to have that kind of tumor in the hospital. So it was kind of like a
Ever?
trial
no,
at the time
yeah.
Oh,
for
okay.
that doctor.
Yeah, maybe for that doctor, like when it was, because there were so many doctors. So this doctor that we had, it was Dr. Wong. I think that was his name, right? Because we had so many doctors, so many. And he was like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to try this, we're going to try this. So everything was a trial and error pretty much. And then it just felt weird because they were like, we're going to try this on him. If it doesn't work, we're going to try this on him. Like, we didn't know anything about the cancer treatment patient.
Yeah.
And
Nothing.
It was weird to me, and it was hard for me because I still couldn't believe that he actually had cancer. But I take care of myself, like,
Yeah.
and I was going in the hospital with them and everything. And then they're like, "Oh, your dad's so healthy and everything." Like, and then I'm like, "Yeah."
But they're like, oh, it's very common in his age, boys in particular, and that kind of cancer that he had rhabdomyosarcoma. That's what it's called, rhabdomyosarcoma. It's a long word, I know. It's a sarcoma.
And what is that actually?
So, like, you know, let's say like a chicken and the little skin around it. That's how they describe it to me. Like, you know how it has the bone and it has like
Yeah.
a little skin? That little like skin that you pull from that little flesh. It's kind of like that. And it grew into a tumor in his ear right here.
Yeah.
And that's what messed up his eardrum, and it went through like, it messed up his eardrum, and then right here at the inner ear
Got it.
part. So they're like, oh, it's a long word. You're not gonna memorize it right now, but you're gonna know it. And it's very common in boys, a 5-year-old boy, and that's what they told us. It's rare. It's nothing that guys did wrong. It's just, it happens.
So there's no reason
No.
for it. It just
It's
happened.
not
No.
hereditary or anything. It's just
Yeah, they're like, it's nothing that you guys did wrong. It's nothing that you guys could have prevented from him getting that cancer. Like, it just happens. It's rare. Like, that's all they told us. Like, there was not really a concrete answer why or how he got it. Like, it was just rare. That's
It was
what
hard to learn all the medicine and everything. Like,
Yeah.
Every time you go and you spend the night, 2 nights, you have to let every single nurse in every shift change
know what they were doing.
always all 4 or 5 different medicines. And he was taking this, but he stopped taking it. Now he's taking this one.
Yeah.
So we will go in for inpatient. We will stay there like okay, so they give him it was called VAC, what they will give him. It was 3 medicines. And they will give him the 3 chemos. And depending on how he would do and how his blood levels will be after he would get the chemo, they will keep us in for that long. We were there at one point for 2 weeks because his blood levels were very low. He needed blood work. He needed blood transfusions. He needed platelets to regain all the stuff that went down because of the chemo. Like pretty much it drops you down. Like you're at zero sometimes, like at zero. So they have to bump everything up, like make sure that you're coming up in order for them to release you. So pretty much you need to have enough defense to fight any infection after you leave the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we will be there. Sometimes one time up to 2 weeks we were at the hospital. And then we will still have to, that was within a month. And then we will have to go back outpatient and get more different kind of medicine and just check his blood work. Sometimes he will go into the hospital with bruises and because he had anemia. That's what it is. Like when your levels drop really bad, like you get anemia, your platelets stop dropping down. It's different, different things that they could do, like put you antibiotics, give you the blood transfusion or platelets, just so they could fight all the stuff that's going on. He would get fever. They're like, one thing they made very clear, like if he has a fever over 102, make sure to come into the ER right away. We will be there in the ER like a couple of times just because his fever will spike up. Like make sure to be checking his fever. He will throw up. He was very lethargic. Like sometimes he would be like sleeping and like not wanting to do anything. He couldn't go to school. He was homeschooled. It was tough.
Yeah, he's resilient, man. Like, even when he was at his lowest, his blood levels and everything, he was in the house and he was playing.
Jumping. They're like, he has cancer?
Yeah.
He lost his hair. He was bald. That was one big thing. Like
He
eyebrows.
lost his hair, his skin color
eyelashes.
changed. Like he lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
How was he seeing these things happen to himself though? Like, how was he just?
It didn't phase him.
No. He was always positive, like most of the time.
He knew,
Besides
like,
when he was
what-
spinning down.
Why it was happening, and he was never questioning like, he was ready to play. He was ready to go somewhere. He was ready to do something.
That's different because me as a kid with none of those problems, the first time I got my hair cut, I was insecure. I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I was like real, like scared of what people may think and all that. And for him to be going through that at such a young age and be able to get through that, he is resilient, like you said he is. The frustration of, not the frustration, the balance of, you know, the family trying to get them to do it understand things a certain way. Y'all going through what y'all going through, like mentally, like having to be there for him, and then trying to keep him strong through it and help him understand. Because at some point, it's like, it's got to be like, I can't be a kid right now. Like he wants to be a kid, but he can't be a kid. So, and I know sometimes y'all may have gotten frustrated with him. How do you find that balance of like trying to like get without making him feel so? You know, a kid, if you so frustrated with them, they start to feel like they're doing something wrong.
Yeah.
And y'all not doing nothing that another parent would do, because we all would get frustrated. But what do you have to come to in your mind to where it's like, okay, let me make this better for him?
Well, as far as in the hospital, like when you were saying that, like we had to stop him from doing things. Being in a room and being in there stuck for days at a time, or even weeks, it was already hard enough. I felt really terrible. The only thing he could do is watch movies and either play like games.
Tablet.
But some of the times he will be like sleeping because of the chemo and stuff. But obviously when we would go home, that was a good thing because we had nephews and cousins and other siblings that he could play with. At times we had to tell him, you can't be playing because you know your blood's gonna go down, and like you can't be around people because there are infections. He couldn't be under the sun because his skin would turn dark. And like it would be hard just telling him like, no, you gotta go inside and like come and do this type of stuff. And like
He was so, like when his blood count and everything was so low, he was weak.
but he wouldn't show
But
it.
it
Like,
wouldn't show.
Yeah,
He-
like it only show like the bruises, but it wouldn't show
Yeah, like he could easily bruise or get hurt.
like his energy was always there. Like that's the
Yeah.
thing. They're like, you know, he has this
One
much.
time he was like at 0.
Yeah, and they're like, he's not being like sleepy or
Yeah.
tired. I'm like, no, he's normal. He's like a regular. They're like, they were even surprised, like, wow, like he has that much energy, like, and he has 0 at this or 0 at that, and like, I'm like, yeah, he's not showing any symptom besides the bruises, obviously, but they're like, wow, like that's crazy, like,
So balancing that with all the other things is trying
Yeah.
to keep him to understand that we have to do this in order for you to get
Yeah.
better.
yeah, and telling him,
Yeah.
Yeah, I constantly reminded him of what's at stake.
Yeah. So, for us people who are like not going through it, we always say things and it like, you'll get through it. God got your back.
Yeah.
Da da da, da, all this extra stuff, and we're not going through it though. We don't really understand the significance of what you're going through. We don't understand the emotion of what you're going through because we're not going through it. So it's easy for us to say, God got you. How does that feel for y'all though?
Yeah.
I would rather know.
Sometimes they just felt like, to me, like just empty words. Just like if you were just telling me because you felt pity or something. Because that's honestly what it feels like. Even though you may say it at times, somebody else didn't actually mean it. Sometimes I felt like it was just pity, like just like you don't know if you really meant it or not. Like, hey, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be all right inside because I knew how everything was going in the process. I don't know, it was hard to see or feel when somebody's actually being genuine.
Yeah.
well, for me, it was probably like, I don't know, it felt like fake at the time, but obviously like it just felt not real, like what they're being like, because I mean a lot of my cousins, family members, like day by day goes by, like they don't call you, they don't, hey, how are you, a message. I mean, sometimes I don't do it either, like I don't do it most of the times either.
Yeah.
But when something like this comes up, like they're on it, you know, like obviously they have your back, but it just felt like, oh, they're just here because this happened. If this would have never happened, they wouldn't be like sending me a message or calling me or like telling me everything's gonna be good, you know, because they don't know. Like I don't talk to them on a day by day. Like obviously this needed to happen in order for them to come, and that's a good thing. Obviously, like we're family. We're supposed to be there for. I mean, in the bad times, but also in the good times. And in the bad times is when everybody tries to reach out at you, like the whole friends, family. Like we were getting so many like I was getting messages because I would put it on Facebook, I would put it on Instagram, you know, like just to motivate Julian, like, hey, you know, you gotta get up. Like, I didn't know what to do. I was stuck in a room, like I was crying, pregnant, trying to do something. But I mean, it just felt weird. Like I had a lot of family members that went to visit us, but just now, like now, I don't really even talk to them. Like they do here and there message me. I say hi. We see them sometimes when I go back to California. But it's like, okay, but something bad has to happen in order for them to like reach out to you. Like it's pretty sad, but then like they try to give you your 2 cents, like when something bad is happening and not when something good is happening. I don't know, it just feels, I don't know how it feels. It just feels awkward getting compliments from them or like suggestions or like, hey, do this, do that. Like,
Yeah, like when the family found out, like obviously we're Mexican. So, you know, they came out with all like these home remedies or everybody, hey, well, this person's drinking this or like such and such's daughter, she had something like that and they gave her this juice or she ate this fruit. And
yeah, like,
you don't want to be rude and be like, oh, well.
Got you.
I would try the stuff. I would
Oh,
try
yeah.
some of the stuff, like, but some of the stuff was awkward. Like, they were like, try some kind of this and
I
snake
mean, our doctor
this.
encouraged us to,
I'm like, huh? Like,
yeah, but just as long as it wasn't something
like even some of
drastic,
the,
you know.
the cancer patients, the parents, they're like, try like marijuana and this and that. I'm like, no, it's just
Yeah, like
weird,
rubbing.
like rubbing alcohol.
Got it,
or-
got it.
It was just awkward things, and like,
Yeah.
I'm like, huh, like no, like I don't want to do that, like.
It was tough being in that hospital, like, in that floor. Because when we were there, like, there was like 5 children, like, that I met and played with my son and everything, and they passed away. Like, like we wouldn't see them anymore, and say, hey, what happened to this patient? Like, oh, he's not here no more.
How you explain that to your son?
I told him the truth.
Yeah, the truth.
So
Be honest with him, cause back again, like he will know eventually. I mean,
And it was not only that, but we didn't have our own room at sometimes.
yeah, we had to
Sometimes you
share
got to be
rooms.
in a room with 2 other patients. The only thing dividing you is the curtain.
And you would
You're
hear
trying to
kids
be in there
crying.
with your son, trying to calm him down. Everything's gonna be good. When in the middle of the night, you're hearing the other person
Screaming, crying.
screaming in pain, or the parents are praying. Like,
Yeah, we heard.
I had
this
one
thing.
lady praying all night.
But in a different dialogue,
she
like
was-
she was.
It was like dialect
yeah.
or something. I don't know what she was saying, but I know she was praying.
And screaming, like. we
And I'm
keep-
over here like trying to keep my sanity and like stay positive and everything. This lady was crying and praying.
Yeah, it was.
It's tough. Like.
We met someone from Russia. They came from Russia, all the way from Russia into that hospital. They had a daughter who was sick. And they, like, it was crazy. Like, we would meet so many different people. Every time we would go, like, we met this other boy. He had, like, another type of cancer, like some stomach cancer. And he would go and he would be better, and then they'll find another type of, like, tumor around his body. Like, it was just, we would meet so many people, like.
Did y'all ever get to the point where it was like, yo, I can't? First of all, before I go there, like, on a lighter end, I had COVID pneumonia, and when I was in the hospital because I was hospitalized for a week, or I don't remember how long I was. But the person next to me was yelling and screaming so loud that I felt so bad inside, and I was like on some like, I don't even want to get to know this person, because if they was to leave, I would feel all this type, because I felt their emotion for him already, and then I was feel to where the doctors was coming in to help me. I was like, please go help him all through the night. So y'all dealing, it's different because y'all dealing with kids.
Yeah.
Kid, this was a grown ass man, and I felt some type of way about it. Y'all dealing with kids, so was it hard for y'all to like want to make connections with anybody? Because I know I'd probably be like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
cool.
we conversated and we made friends with her. You got to. I mean, the only family you know is that family in the 4th floor, because you practically see them every day.
And the nurses, because the nurses were always there. Like, not the same ones, but most of the time. They would know us, like, a lot of them.
Yeah, you get to know everybody by name. Like,
They would call me super mom, because I was pregnant. I was in the hospital, and I was in college. And a lot of them would know me. They're like, super mom, it's here. I'm like,
I mean, I think it was tough for me talking to other parents when they explain their situation to you, and they would tell you, "Oh, well, you right away you knew like the gravity of their situation compared to yours." And then, like you said, for you to tell them, "Hey, everything's gonna be okay," or
Yeah.
when you
just
know,
have
like,
faith,
it's
when
hard.
You really
like,
know that it might not be. Like,
and when they would tell
I
us,
would
it
try
would be
not to.
okay. Like,
You just
Not to
let-
say that I would not try. Hey, like, it's gonna be okay or whatever. I just say, no.
remember we were talking about at work when
I'll
I
see
tell
you
you,
in
like,
a week. I'll see you tomorrow. Whenever your next appointment. Like,
it's hard to say, like, I'm sorry to someone who passes away, or like even anything to when someone passes away. I don't know what to say. It's speechless. I'm speechless. Like, that's how it felt. Like you can't say nothing like that. Like, it's hard. Like,
yeah, then I would feel like if I was being fake or I'm being a jerk
Yeah.
or something,
everything's gonna be
Give me,
okay
like, false hope or
when
something.
we know. Well, we don't know
'Cause there was-
because
yeah,
it
but
might be
there was-
okay, and then the next day it might be like,
well, like Cindy said, there was times where certain patients, they had surgery and they removed a tumor or something, and it was all good. Like,
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Like, I'm not coming back no more. Like,
and the next day it was
2 weeks later, a week
with
later, you would
another
see them
tumor.
like, what happened? Oh, well, they were doing some blood work and they found another spot somewhere else. Like, and it's like, damn. Like,
So coming back around to that, then, cause you do. There's one hand where it's like, all right, y'all haven't been here until now, and y'all flooding me with all of this stuff to do or all of this concern. But then there's the other hand where it's like, damn, where were you when I was going through this? So I know there's got to be some appreciation for them reaching out, but is it just about overdoing it, or because you, like you said, you're human too. So there were times where you weren't reaching out to people too.
I
so
still
would
don't.
you just ignore it if it was one of your friends before you went through the actual thing, and it was one of them who was going through it, you would have probably reached out too, right?
Yeah, I sure would.
So you do understand that it's just about how we do
Yeah.
it. So what is the proper way of going? What do y'all? What do y'all think would have been the proper way of doing it?
I think just like giving a hand, like, I mean, not suggesting things, not like, oh, you got to do this. Just like, how are you?
yeah, because you get a lot of that of, well, you could have done this to avoid it,
Or
like,
you could do this to
or
we got to make it better. Like, but how do we really know? Like, not even the doctors know, because they're not 100% of anything. Like, they're just, like I told you, it was a research. It's pretty much on research, everything. It's still like a.
I feel like I understand what you're saying. If you encounter another situation like this, maybe a friend or a family member who happens to go through something like this, instead of going over and not giving pity or you're sorry or whatever, like go over and like see how you can help them, like see
Yeah.
what you can do to
Make it better.
whatever it is.
Like, yeah,
Whether
like
it's going to get in their groceries or
food, anything.
anything.
Like,
Instead of just going over there and be like, oh, I'm sorry, like trying to make me feel better, but really you're not.
Yeah.
because it's hard, like, just to
I
see.
think that's important what you said. How can I
Yeah.
help you? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just to see people like out there like struggling in general, like with everything, because obviously like there's people that I was telling you, like they travel from different places. People needed to stay in a house like outside of the hospital, like just to be next to their kids. Like, it's called a Ronald McDonald. Like, that was the house that was next to the hospitals.
The foundation
That's a
of
foundation
Ronald
that
McDonald's.
they house a lot of people there, like that live far. We were lucky enough to live like 10 minutes away, so we were renting and still had our own house. But I mean, obviously, to juggle all that, like,
Yeah, those people are like she said, we met that literally left their life behind just to come and like, even for that one,
couple of weeks or whatever.
yeah, just that chance, just that hope that your child will make it.
Of course.
I was like, I commended those people, but that's a lot.
Yeah, we were lucky
To
enough
leave your, not just a state, but to move from another country, like thousands of miles away, like, just because you heard that this place
is the
can
best.
buy
Like,
you
yeah.
some time. Like,
Y'all, we talked about your son. We've talked about the people around coming into the picture, trying to, I don't want to say impede, but trying to, help you figure it out where they can. But let's talk about y'all, though. You got a pregnant wife over here. You got a sick child. You got a
middle
man
child.
who's, huh?
and I got another child at home. Like,
Another child. When I said pregnant, but another child in her. So, and that takes a whole different type of care right there. And the middle child probably really is confused on what's going on and why y'all attended to him so much and not really giving me attention. But at the same time, you guys are human too. Y'all still are married. As much as y'all got to protect them, y'all got to protect each other. Y'all got to be there for each other. So how was those times? How do y'all comfort each other through that? Because I know y'all was getting at each other at that time. Know this, know that, or other things became frustrating. If you care to share, there's nothing you gotta But for people out there, when you're in relationship with somebody, how do y'all get through that together?
feel like for me it was communication. Just talking to him and talking about it. I mean, obviously we will ask the question, why us?
All the time.
All the time, like, why us? But it's for something. It's a reason. It's always a reason. We just don't know what reason. And I feel like it just made us stronger too, like, in a way, like, as far as being together, being for each other.
Like, I was lucky enough that the place where I was working at, they were very understanding, so I got to take a lot of time off, and I was able to be with her and my son, well, and my other child too. But I mean, we stuck together for the most part. I don't think we were really focused on each other during that time. Like, as much as you would think, like, yeah, we spent time together and everything, but it was, our main focus was our son.
Yeah.
Doing everything we could together, whether it was in the hospital or going out somewhere. Like,
Yeah.
like I was trying to live every day like if it was my last day. Like,
Yeah.
So y'all pretty much, it brought y'all closer together. Y'all stuck together. Y'all probably without even trying, it just made y'all better as a people.
Yeah.
What? Go ahead.
well, it made us grow up real quick.
Grow up real quick.
Yeah. We had, been together only, 6 years by then? Only? No, I mean, well, yeah, 6 years. It's a lot, but it's not a lot. We've been together for 13
It was,
years?
I mean, we were pretty much kids having kids,
Yeah.
For sure.
for sure. You know, it was.
Dealing with heaviness.
And then when that hit us, it was like, man, like, this is some real deal stuff. Man.
Had to grow up quick.
Ain't no other choice.
Yeah.
Well, how does that make y'all react to other people's situations, seeing as y'all, like, is it like you'll get through or toughen up? That's nothing compared to what we went through, or do you, like,
Nah, I mean,
yeah, do you soften up for them and try to help them get through it the best way you
yeah, we do. I mean, I sympathize, and
can? Yeah,
I mean, we understand now what it's like to go through that. So.
yeah.
As far as me, I feel like just staying together and staying strong with each other. Obviously, back to the hospital, we met a lot of family members, husband, wife. They would do a lot of things. I didn't work at the time, but I did go to college, and that made a big difference because obviously I didn't have to go to work. I seen kids that both parents were not even there,
Yeah.
or at times, at days, they were not even there. I'm like, how can you not come and be with your son or daughter for that many days? But some of the parents, one of the times, the dad will be there, the mom will be there. But I heard a couple of times, they got divorced. They couldn't handle it.
A lot of couples did.
They
And
separated,
that's
they couldn't handle it. They were not, I feel like me and Juan are very strong as far as that. We're not only positive, but very strong as far as
Attitude.
yeah, attitude-wise, we're,
Stubborn.
yeah, we're not
Stubborn.
I feel like we're blunt,
Committed.
we're very honest, as far as that, we're not oh, that's the thing. I think that's what helped us stay together and be strong with each other because we're both I don't know. I feel like
Hard-headed.
hard-headed.
I heard the same, and I believe it too. Things don't happen to you; they happen for you. You said, why us earlier. Obviously, y'all have made it through it.
Yep.
So if you could say what it did, because when you say it happens for you, it's okay, the silver lining is this made me better in this. This made, because you said y'all was kids, but y'all had to grow up fast or whatever. Now y'all know more about these things than a lot of people. And if something else comes about, you probably built to, well, not probably, you are built to handle it. So when you hear things don't happen to you, they happen for you, what do you think when it comes to you, y'all's situation?
I guess just to motivate people. I think that's my thing. Like, I've been talking about it for over 10 years, and when someone hears me, they're like, whoa. And I wonder if they were in my shoes, they would be like, the same attitude, like, hey, you gotta be strong.
Yeah.
Even though it hurts, you gotta be strong, like, no matter what. Stay positive, obviously, but stay strong for your son, daughter, whoever's going through a situation.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's my saying all the time when something happens, or like when I approach someone or someone knows me, like obviously that just made me stronger in a way, like.
Yeah.
And obviously if someone would go through this, hopefully not to give up, stay strong all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no matter the outcome. Like, I mean, she always reminds me of it. Like, I'm always asking still, like, oh, why does this happen to me?
Like just
Why
in
does that
general.
happen to me? She's
Yeah.
always like, oh, that's not the way to think. Like, you should know better than that. Like, and I'll take a minute and I'll start thinking about all the stuff we've been through. And
Like there's
and
people
I'm like,
that are
oh, I don't even
worse.
know why I'm fussing over this when we've come so far, like, and achieved so much. And
And we
like,
could
honestly,
be right
this like, it really unified us, like, 100%.
here. Yeah.
That is dope. That is so fire.
Yeah.
I want y'all to know, first of all, I appreciate the fuck out of y'all.
Like,
For real.
Thanks.
One, I've been talking to Cindy for a minute, and she's let me know this stuff, and I tell her all the time, like, as a form of therapy or even helping other people therapy for them, your story, wait, first, before we even go there, what stage is your son at now in life, for people to know?
He's 15 years old. He's in remission. He has no signs of cancer. Obviously, like, he has a scar where he had the port, and he had eardrum reconstruction. He has lost very small hearing. He's lost very small amount of hearing on his ear, and he's doing perfectly fine. Like, he's
and he has a small indentation, like,
Yeah,
where,
yeah, you can
because
see-
of the chemo, but it's
or the
nothing-
radiation. It's both, but
Nothing
you can see,
significant.
he's doing great.
If you see him, like, and everybody who knows him, and you would never guess.
And he
Yeah,
always
okay.
tells them he is a cancer survivor,
And
and
I
he's
stay
aware
on
of
him
it.
like all the time, and every time he tries to get a little bit out of line, I tell him, you know what, like, you didn't survive cancer to be out here acting a fool or doing
Yeah.
this. Like, you're gonna make something out of your life.
You got
Show
a
that you
second chance,
appreciate
pretty much.
The second chance. Not
Yeah.
everybody gets this.
Yeah,
But he pretty much understands this.
Oh,
yeah,
he's-
yeah. He understands it.
He's a good boy. He's a straight A student.
Yeah,
Have no complaints.
You say that to him.
yeah,
You tell him you had a second chance at life. You're not gonna be out here doing that. But let's get real. Or y'all saying that to yourselves too. Not only did he have a second chance at life, you got a second chance of keeping your baby. And
Yeah.
and it could have been you. So it should make you appreciate life more. So we all have a purpose of being here, because y'all told me y'all are God believers or whatever. So you understand that you have purpose out here too. I think we have to show an example. You know what I'm saying? We got to show our kids, you know.
yeah.
Not only you have purpose by surviving, I have purpose. I gotta do better. So are y'all understanding of that? Are y'all moving like that? Or could y'all do better? Or, you know what I'm saying? You get me? Because we say
I try to better myself.
Yeah.
Sorry. I mean, I know she does. I try to better myself every day, like, in my home life, in my work life, just on the daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Even when I'm doing not something I'm not supposed to be doing, but not the way I would like to do it,
Yeah.
I take time to myself, and I have these conversations on my own, and I tell myself, oh, I'm gonna do better. I need to start this is what I can do to correct this. And I'll go home and I'll talk to her. Like,
That's fine.
and I'll let her know if I'm doing something or whatever, let me know.
Vice
I don't want to
versa.
waste time arguing or on petty stuff. Like we gone through enough. Like,
Yeah. Are you doing it for understanding though? Like, because sometimes we listen to stuff and be like, oh, that's nothing. Like you tripping over nothing, you know what I'm saying? Or-
nah, I'm doing it for the longevity of my marriage, and then just because I want to be better. I don't want to be. I tell my son all the time. My son sees me, and now he's starting to work out because I work out. I've told him since day one, since he could understand what I'm saying, don't ever be like me. If you want to work out, you want to fix cars, do whatever you want, do it because you want to do it. Don't try to be like me. Like, I don't want to live my life through you. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, oh, well, I wanted to join the military, this and that. But you don't have to do that because of me. If you want to do that because you took that choice,
Yeah.
I don't want you to feel pressured. I mean, there's nothing you can do to impress me or to make me not feel proud of you. I'm hella proud of you.
Like by you not doing this, I'm not disappointed in you.
Yeah, like I'm proud of you no matter what,
Yeah. Yeah.
how far you've come and everything. Like, I mean, that's what I'm. Don't ever think that I'm gonna be disappointed or think less of you because you're not doing what I used to do. I told him he knows I had a rough life when I was growing up. We do everything in our power to make sure that they don't. No, I did the things that I did because, of course, I had a choice. But when I was growing up, I saw it as I didn't have a choice. I'm giving you all the tools, everything you need to be whatever you want to be, do whatever you want to do. So I try to show that every day and let all my kids know that. Like, you guys do what you want to do. You want to be a gamer, you want to blog, you want to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell them that if I would have told my parents at that age, hey, I want to be a gamer or I want to be a blogger, they would have laughed at me and said, boy, get a real job. Like, you're not going to make no money off of that.
Yeah.
I may not jump into this business or some kind of computer risk because that's not me. But, I mean, if you got the brains for it and, I mean, charisma, whatever it is you need
Go ahead.
to succeed in the business, like, go ahead, like, I got your back. And I let them know that every day, all of them.
Like a lot of parents be like, oh, don't let your kids play Monday through Friday. They go to school. I'm like, let them. Like, if they're not doing any homework, go ahead, play. Like, what if they do become gamers? What if they do become something important because of the game? I'm like, it's all right. Like, as long as they're doing good at school, I'm fine with it. We're fine with it. Like,
I mean, they're all
they go to
straight A
sleep
students.
on time. I'm like, just go to sleep at a certain time.
All of them. Like, I don't even know how.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that and
I'm
probably
very
because
pushy.
we're hard.
I'm
but
very pushy about it. Like, if I see something slacking, I'm like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I mean, I know when we were kids, like we were out there playing in the street, like with our friends and everything. Like my kids, like they don't do that. They want to be at home, like.
On the game, on their tablets.
Yeah, but if you want to invite a
nowadays.
friend over, go ahead, invite somebody over. Like, you guys go and play, like.
Yeah.
But I'm not letting you go out to the corner and I'm gonna go ride my bike over there or something. Like, nah, if I'm not there, you're not there. Like,
Yeah.
and part of that for the same reason, like I'm scared of something happening where I can't control it. Or at least have some kind of sense of me being in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the way y'all go about parenting is dope because you don't want your kid to have any type of resentment towards you when they get older because my dad wouldn't or my mom wouldn't let me do this because, like you said, living through them, you wasn't able to do it, so you want them to do it. So yeah, I get that completely. Like as we said before, y'all believe in God and all of that, but did your faith ever waver through the process of that, of what y'all was going through?
For me, it was,
For me, it was at the beginning.
yeah, it was like,
Because there's that why
Yeah.
question, like why?
yeah. It was hard. It was, I mean, there's a lot, you have to have faith, but it's just, was there really faith in the beginning? Like, because we didn't see no hope. Like, I mean, obviously it's the beginning. We don't know what to expect, what's gonna happen. We didn't know anything. I was in complete, like, zero about cancer, especially in kids. Like, I was like, what? Like, how does my son have, like, cancer? Like, what? Like, I was still thinking it was, like, it felt like a nightmare. Like I'm gonna wake up from a nightmare. Like, it's all fake. Like, it felt, like, weird. Like, it's not real. It's not me. I feel like I was there, but not mentally. Like, I was not, like, thinking it about it. Like, it just felt like it wasn't me. It just felt like it was I feel like I was looking at another person going through that. But obviously I need to come to a realization that it was me living through it and my son. And obviously that played a big role. Like,
I think I question it because, I mean, how could it be my son? Like, he's only 5 years old, man. Like, I feel like it don't matter how much you say or how hard you think you believe in God or your religion. Like, when something like this happens to you, like, you're gonna question it. If it would happen to you as an adult, well, you're like, oh well, I guess that's what God wanted for me. But when it happens to your child, you're like, he's only begun to live his life, and then you already want to take him, like.
yeah. And then as far as cancer goes, like, the first thing in my mind was like, I don't know, I'm not trying to be negative about it, but the first thing a lot of people think is death. Like, to be honest, like, cancer, that's the first thing you think, like, oh, that's what like, in my mind, it came through my, like, obviously when they give us that 75% chance of survival rate, I was like, okay. They're like, you know that's high, right? I'm like, there's people that hear a very low number. Like, I'm like, well, even just hearing the number was like, okay, like, you're telling me my son has 75% chance of living. But I didn't know, like, it was just like, whoa, like.
It didn't feel like you were talking about a person, and then.
It just felt like you're talking about a thing. Like, you're talking about my son. Like, it just.
That's why I asked you. I said, that's high.
Yeah,
'Cause to me, I'd have heard that.
Yeah, like, it made it sound like it was just, I don't know, you were talking about a car's battery or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, because the doctors
And
are
then there was
very
still
blunt about it all the time. They gotta be like that. They
There was
show
still
no.
a but in the
Like,
in the answer. Like, he's like, oh, like, it's 75% chance, but he's like, there's also a high probability of it coming back.
yeah.
So it's,
Like I was saying at first, before I went there, I appreciate both of you even more than I appreciated before, because you wouldn't even know what you're going through when you at your job. I call it your job because I'm leaving. I gotta say that when we at your job, nobody would ever know what you're going through because of the way you move. You don't act a funny way towards us. I've never seen you lash out on anybody, and maybe you have. I'm not there 7 days a week. Maybe you have lashed out on people, but when I see you, for the most part, you do your job. You never take shortcuts. You never like, well, I'm going through this at home. Y'all just gonna have to. And I see that all the time at the job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You. I don't know. It's just so inspiring after you started telling me your story. Like, at first I was like, oh, she works great. Because we don't see many people doing that at our, and then after you told me what you're going through, I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
To be able to keep going through that, and that's inspiring to a person like me, because I'll see what you were going through, and then I'll go through whatever I'm going through and be like, man, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate you for that alone, but for y'all to even get on here and get in front of these cameras and tell y'all story like that, and you didn't even want to do it. You could have just sat there and not said nothing, but you gave it to the world, and you got emotional, like on camera, and don't that's dope to me, bro, because men have real emotion, and it's okay to display that, and we need to let the world know it's okay to display that, because without showing them that you going through that type of stuff, they wouldn't know it exists. You know what I'm saying? I know to everybody who sees you, you probably like,
I'm just like her. Like everybody, when they first meet me, they don't know what I've been through. They have no clue. When I tell them, they're like, "What? Like your child has cancer? Like really? Like yeah? Like we've been through so many things, but we just don't show. We're not like that. We just
yeah.
we don't like to live in the past. We just keep it moving. The only way to make progress is keep it moving. I'm not gonna
You
sit
can't live,
around
yeah.
and well, this happened to me. Like
Yeah. Live in the past.
I
pretty
could have
much.
done
We can't
this
live
and
like
this
that.
now. Like,
Yeah.
why can't you do it now? Like
And like I said, man, things don't happen to you, they happen for you. And they happen. Y'all did that so we can know how to go through it. So it happened for us too. Now we got a little more insight on things, and now we got a reference point from y'all of how to maybe get through it and be there for each other and stuff. And like I said before, for y'all not to want to get on camera for real, I probably talked to you for like, a few months. It's like, hey, you have a story that can help
Yeah.
people or whatever, and you got through it. So they're not camera people, they're not mic people, they're not people who really tell their story. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I felt like when you sat down, you'll eventually just, as long as you, because it's hard to listen to somebody like just, I know I was playing a lot earlier, like, yeah, let me set your camera or whatever, but I wasn't tripping if you were going to talk or not, because I was like, it's hard to sit there and let somebody tell a story that you was a part of, and you're going to have to put your input. That's, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate you for, you were never like, hey, bro, I ain't saying nothing. I told you I ain't saying nothing. Don't try to get me to say nothing.
she knew I was gonna say something.
Yeah, I felt like you were going
Yeah.
to say, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I appreciate y'all letting us in on that part of y'all
I
life.
appreciate you having us.
Yeah.
And this is big for me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate that. The goal is to leave. Do y'all want to say any last thing?
Just live your life like you're gonna live. Live your life like you're gonna live your last day. Like pretty much, be happy and be positive. Like,
Yeah.
be strong.
Spend as much time as you can
With your family.
with your
members.
family and loved ones.
Yeah.
Because you really don't know when it's gonna be the last day
Yeah.
for you, for them. There's no point in wasting time in petty fights or
Yeah.
pointless things. And later on, you catch yourself sitting down, like just laughing at yourself. That's how dumb you feel. Just
We're fighting for that. I mean, we still do it, but it's natural. Like, but really, like, we've come a long
I
way.
mean,
Like,
Y'all appreciate each other much more too.
yeah.
no matter the situation, just stay positive and just know that it's gonna be all right. Like,
What's going to happen is,
yeah, like the outcome is it's gonna be good. It's gonna be all right. You're gonna make it through. You can't let one thing define you for the rest of your life.
the name of this podcast is Indelibly Marked. And that's about leaving for me, what that is, well, the word indelible is leaving a mark that can't be removed. And this conversation this will leave a mark on somebody. Don't care if it's just one person. So, y'all going through what y'all went through. The purpose of that is being served through this too. And I appreciate that. The goal is to leave a lasting imprint on minds and hearts. We pray you've been indelibly marked. Appreciate y'all.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi everyone. Thank you for everything. I only wish for one thing, to get better.